Okay. Okay. Guys, what a bloodbath today. I just have one question. $100 to the person who gets it. Okay. Oh, let me put that on mute. I always do that. You guys just have to guess how much freaking money I lost since yesterday. Any guesses? Crypto coffee?
Well, shit, man. Probably at least 30%, 30 to 40. I don't know. Is it in the 5 digits?
David?
I say you lost nothing.
Pooch?
You only lose when you sell, Toddy. So I'm thinking
So, Todd,
you didn't sell.
From yesterday, how much money did you have in your pocket versus when you sell? How much money will you have in your pocket? Same amount as you had yesterday.
Amen. Yeah, I didn't sell a thing. And it's, and I really think I didn't sell a thing because I'm just, I'm kind of glad at this point that I'm such a newbie that I don't even really know, and I'm not even kidding you. And it's one of the questions I want to ask you, Crypto Coffee, is when you do want to take profits, where is the best? And I'm sorry, I will introduce you, but just a foreshadowing a question. Where in the heck is the best place to go sell? Because it's kind of like as a newbie, I was told to get everything over into either Exodus or an offline cold storage wallet, and I did that. But then I started to realize when I was swapping some coins around that Exodus kind of bends you over and just rams it right there, and it's very expensive. So I do want to get into that. But I did not sell because I'm not smart enough to sell. And thank the Lord Jesus, if that's your thing, thank you that I do not know how to leverage trade. Because a moment of silence for the leverage traders out there. Okay, let me welcome Crypto Coffee. And I also have on the line with me the legend David Weiss and Mike Puccinelli sitting there. He's my best friend. He was my best man. And he's a crypto newbie too. And he wanted to join because he's really excited about the subject matter tonight. And by the way, he looks pretty good for having heart surgery yesterday. So Mike, good job. Thank you for making it, because I didn't want to fly up there and, try to figure out where all your pirate treasure was, because you don't keep as good of notes on your crypto as I do. So before we begin, the subject of this is the PulseChain once in a lifetime free airdrop. And we want to unpack HEX. And ultimately, by the end of this, we want to be able to war game out strategies that might work best for all of us. We might do a few strategies based upon where you are with your holdings, whether or not we'll get there. But the bottom line is we will all benefit greatly if we seize the moment on this opportunity. And I think it's a seizable moment. So Crypto Coffee, thank you for coming on. And could you please introduce yourself and give us a little background on you and your channel and where our friends over here can find you?
Yeah, well, sure. My name is Matt, and I've been in the crypto space since 2015. I remember I bought my very first Bitcoin at about $500 and thought I could make it as a day trader on Poloniex. And I lost an ungodly amount of Bitcoin that would, it's not even worth talking about because I'll get depressed. So went through the whole trading mentality, went through the whole, riding coins up, pump and dumps. I've seen the whole 2017 bubble. I've seen it all when it comes to crypto. And, 5 years in crypto is almost half of its entire existence. So,
wow.
I've seen things come and go. And at this point, I've found very few strategies that actually work. And so I stumbled across Richard Hart in a debate with Roger Ver about Bitcoin fundamentals and Bitcoin Cash back in 2017. Remembered I was very interested about, his presence, his authority in the space, and started working with him tangentially on HEX. Pretty much, HEX is really a community. It's a grassroots community that's really trying to design crypto the way it was intended to be. So I joined the HEX community right when HEX launched, day one. I got in on day two. So December 2nd, December 3rd, 2019. I've been in the chat rooms and been making content for the past year and a half about what is HEX, how to get into HEX, why it's different than a lot of the cryptos you see out there, and really what's wrong with the crypto space today, and what mentality does it take to win, right? A lot of people think you come in here, it's a get rich quick scheme. It's actually a get rich slow scheme. It's not sexy. It's not fun. It's very, very boring. All the best investments are really, really boring. But when you're in HEX, there's never a dull day. We try to make it as fun as we can. I'm one of many, one of many Hexicans, we call ourselves. And it's a really awesome grassroots community. It really reminds me of some of the Bitcoiners in the early days who have become, distasteful, let's say, over the years, and not realizing there's other better things out there. There's progress that's being made in the space. And if you shut yourself off to the diamonds in the rough, 99% of the stuff in the space is bullshit. It's scams. It's shitty projects, if anything. And you're going to lose money with 98% of these things, especially leverage trading. I speak out against leverage trading at all costs. Trading in general, I think the better way is to buy and hold and simply sit on your investment and then talk it up in the process and spread adoption. I think adoption and mass onboarding of crypto is really the only way that that there's enough meat on the bone for everybody. So crypto is a game where we can all win. Wealth is a positive sum game. Trading is a negative sum game, right? If I trade, I'm actually taking money directly from somebody on the other side of the screen that lost money. So a lot of people think trading is how you get rich in crypto. How I've kind of reached financial freedom is really just by buying, holding, promoting things that are wholesome, good, long-term investments. And that happens to be HEX and more recently PulseChain, which I'm really excited to talk about today.
Excellent.
But yeah, that's what I do today. I pretty much do YouTube, advertising, digital media marketing, and I'm a consultant for anybody that wants to know more about it. I have a course called hexpassiveincome.com. If you go there today, I can teach you the strategy that I use. Hexpassiveincome.com. There's a 50% off deal going on right now. It's only $100. Could change your life. It's basically everything I've learned about not only what to do, but what not to do. And really just to get a total no coiner that knows nothing about crypto. Started with crypto, started with Bitcoin, Ethereum, but most importantly, into HEX and into the whole staking ladder strategy, which I know David's familiar with. And apparently as a Hexican, a lot of us are doing this, and it's really been working well for thousands and thousands of people. I've seen people quit their jobs, follow their dreams, traveling the world, sex, drugs, rock and roll. I'm kind of still here promoting it, but hey, I think my lifestyle has changed massively, and I'm really excited to share that with the world. So that's what I do now. I'm an evangelist, I would say, but I've seen a lot of BS out there. So I want to save people from themselves to a degree.
You are a hex evangelist.
Hex evangelist. Sure.
Excellent. Excellent. So here's one thing about staking that I don't understand, just to ask a quick question. When you commit your funds for such a long period of time, at what point in time, if you have things staked for years and years and years, does your lifestyle change? Because for me, I look at that as dry powder, that your dry powder is now occupied, and sure, it's generating cumulative wealth perhaps, but does that ever come out to you? Can you just explain it to us a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for taking profit when profit is due. The thing is, a lot of people think that you can get in and out in a matter of days and weeks. And what I really want to emphasize to people when you're getting into crypto is it's a months and years game. It's not a days and weeks game. Again, there's no get rich quick here. There's no do nothing, sit on your ass, get paid. No one's going to do all the work for you. You have to learn about it, and you have to take all the steps yourself. And, I can lead a horse to water, but I can't make him drink. So a lot of people will see HEX and they'll say, I don't want to commit for that long of a time. I just don't feel like I believe in a coin for that long. How could I possibly believe in a coin for over than a year? Implying that crypto is primarily pump and dumps, which it is. But if something seems too good to be true, your bullshit radar is usually right, except for that, 1 in 100 chance that one out of, that 1%, that's actually a good, stable, long-term, secure store of value. It's been audited twice with 100% uptime. That's HEX. That's what I'm talking about. So when do I cash out? Well, I've cashed out very little so far. And what you really want is to keep your income producing assets generating you more and more wealth, and really only cash out enough to pay the bills. So okay. My lifestyle hasn't changed drastically. And when I say financial freedom, I mean, 9 to 5 quitting, side gig, turning into my real thing, following my passions. So
right.
I am living the same lifestyle that I've pretty much always lived, except now I have a feeling of abundance that's different than I used to.
That's excellent. I like that.
Yeah.
David, do you have any questions at the beginning here? David.
I love talking on mute because I love hearing myself and then nobody interrupts. Okay. I do it every show. About staking. Yeah. Staking something out for 15 years, especially at your ripe old age, Uncle Odd,
Yes.
is a big commitment. Somebody young, if you're putting in just a small amount of money, it might be worth it to stake it for 15 years. But if you're putting in, a decent amount of money or getting a decent amount of shares, you could do a crypto coffee. And I did, we did I assume you did a ladder stake. So
That's right.
I staked it. I have like 15 stakes. So I have stuff coming due every year. And I did smaller stakes at the beginning because I didn't really want to take that out, but I wanted a little passive income.
Okay.
And the thing is, people say, well, how do you take your profits out? Well, it appears that my first stake is going to cover my initial investment.
Mm.
There you go.
Okay.
Congrats.
That's insane.
Wow.
That's insane. So once I take that out, the rest is house money.
Right.
And of course, if things go, the way I look at it is crypto is going to rule the world unless the world falls apart. And either way, if the world falls apart, crypto and money are going to be useless.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Right. So, the crypto is the kryptonite to the bankers. It is, the bankers rule the world. This bypasses the bankers. They're not going to like it. They're going to try everything. I think some of, today's carnage is just due to that. Is them trying to scare the crap out of everybody, and everybody is scared. People, freak out. Can't tell you how many calls I had today, and I'm just hold. One of my good buddies, he sent me one text today, hodl. That's it. That's all he said. Hodl. I'm like, yeah.
Smart guy.
Hey, heart surgery boy, what do you have to say about all of this? Where's your head at right now with the fact that you have Kraken in your back pocket, and what are you thinking?
Well, on the staking side, I've been doing some research on that.
Okay.
And what's interesting to me is that I guess the way it works is that you get basically interest, right? So you stake it, so it's out there, and people are paying you to have access to your HEX. Is that correct?
Well, so no person is actually paying you. It's just the smart contract that's paying you via inflation of its own coin. So just to clarify, the interest you get is not paid in US dollars or anything. It's all just generated in more HEX.
So how do you know what the return's going to be? You don't know.
Well, so yeah, actually the returns vary. So the returns are based off of the percentage of people staking in the system, right? So if more people stake, there's actually lower APY. If less people stake, to incentivize more people to get in, the smart contract automatically generates higher APY. And the APY is basically the inflation of the coin. The coin inflates at a constant rate of 3.69% a year, and that's divvied up proportionally to every staker in the system, proportional to how much they have staked, right? So it is a mathematical formula. It can never be changed. There's no person at the other side of the curtain that's really dictating these rules. It's simply a mathematical formula based on a 2,000-line piece of code.
I've got a question on that, on like the staker app, which shows you all your stakes and shows you what they're worth. That number that it's showing you is what they're worth today based on today's price. And of course, if you take it out, you get a penalty if you take it out early. Is that correct? It's based on, if HEX is at 5 cents, that payout in 15 years is based on a 5-cent HEX, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
so that's
true.
Incredible, because I don't expect there to be a 5-cent HEX in 15 years. So this opportunity, first, when I got into HEX, I was like you, Uncle Vigilante. I didn't know shit. I was just advised. I looked at it. I'm like, God, I think so. Let me try.
Yeah.
So now we have this opportunity with the PulseChain, which is basically the same thing, right? The same opportunity, but maybe getting in even earlier. I mean, I was in since day one. Is this getting in day zero?
Yeah. Well, typically, if you get in early on some of these crypto projects, the upside far, far outweighs the downside. But going back to the staking ladder strategy that I think what I want to drill the point home on is something that David touched on earlier. So you talked about how do you cash out? How do you actually make money on these things? Well, the money is generated from inflation, right? And you typically Hexicans have multiple stakes. We have more than one stake. So there's always some interest coming out. There's always a stake coming out. So you can pick monthly, yearly. In my non-financial advice, I typically recommend quarterly, biannually, or yearly. Monthly is a little too often for me. I don't want to have to be checking every single month. And really it's just diminishing returns at that point. But again, not financial advice. What I do is pretty much biannual stakes. Every 6 months I have some coming out. And when my HEX stakes come out, I calculate the interest that I earned plus the principal that I initially put in. And what I do, and depending on your time horizon, right, I sell the interest that I made for personal profit, and then I restake the principal all the way out till the end of the line. So I basically add another rung on the ladder as far as I possibly can, because longer stakes pay you more interest. That's one of the cool features of HEX called longer pays better. So your shorter stakes will pay you about 13% APY, whereas your longest stakes can pay you up to 60% APY right now. And again, that's a variable rate based on the code, but it's pretty stable around there as of lately. So that's kind of what we're all doing.
Okay,
So,
go ahead.
So Uncle Odd, just so you understand, and you could explain Crypto Coffee, when you have a stake up, and let's say there's just for a number $1,000 worth of interest profit. So you take that $1,000, you cash it out, you use it to pay your light bill, whatever, and then you're taking that initial investment and just restaking it out for as far as you can do it. The number of shares that you get compared to the original number of shares, can you comment on that?
The number of shares. Okay, so the number of the share system is a couple steps too complicated. I feel like we should probably start with the basics, but essentially what you're doing with the share. I feel like we're all over the place here. So do we have like
you lead any way you want.
How about
this? How about from a basic perspective?
Yeah,
Let me just ask a question. So the other day, because I'm a relative newbie, right? I had a Gemini account, then went to Kraken, then got the whole bunch of different wallets and figured out how to do stuff. The other day, I was talking to Uncle Vigilante over there, and he said, "Hey, go get some HEX." And I said, "All right, well, I'll figure it out." So next thing you know, I figured out how to trade Ether for HEX, and now I have like 220,000 HEX.
Nice,
but nothing staked. I just have it. So I don't know. Then I start reading about the staking thing. I'm like, well, what do I do? And you hear about the ladder, and you've got like the monthly contracts that you guys were describing, and then the quarterly. Like the whole thing is for somebody like me. Like I'm unstaked, I guess, right?
And throw the curveball in that any day now you might want to just burn that HEX or sacrifice that HEX. Right. So it's kind of like, that's why this is a timely conversation to figure this out and war game it out, because maybe that 220,000 HEX that you have is better deployed by sacrificing it.
Exactly. And so that's a great starting point. So for someone that's new, right? First things first, staking is totally optional. When you buy HEX, it's liquid. You can sell it on the open market. You can trade it back and forth. You can send it to your friends, just like any other cryptocurrency. Send, receive, buy, sell, the basic functions, right? If you choose to stake, you set your own term. So you can go to go.hex.com, and that's where most of us do all of our staking. You can also stake from an app that our community has built called gostaker.com. I prefer to start people off. In my course, I tell them go.hex.com. It's primarily a browser-based thing, so I recommend doing it on desktop. And my course teaches all this, but I'll try to give you as much of the course as possible in the short time frame that we have. So if you have if you have liquid HEX, right, you go to this website, again, go.hex.com. You can stake for any number of days that you want, and it's based, and there's a really simple UI where you just input the number of days, and HEX is staked on a daily time scale. So when I say monthly, yearly, quarterly, these aren't like preset options that you have to set. It's entirely up to you, as long as it's on a daily level. I can set a stake that expires on my birthday every day for the next 15 years. I can set a stake that expires every Christmas, or, for my kid's college bill or whatever.
Where my stakes end, my birthday and Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. That's some of my favorites are that too. So, it's like giving yourself little future presents or any life goals. If you're saving up for a wedding ring or a new car, you could save up for all these things and kind of set your own financial goals, right? So that's what I think is a pretty cool feature. However, if you choose not to stake, the reason you might want to hold your HEX liquid, one of the only reasons you might actually want to hold your HEX liquid ever, right? Because let's be honest, like if you have liquid HEX, right, you don't just want to let it sit there when you could be earning interest on it. If you don't need the money now, why not be earning interest on it? Well, one reason, because of this thing called PulseChain. PulseChain is a brand new cryptocurrency that I know Uncle Vigilante is familiar with already. I saw your video on it. And it's a fork of Ethereum, which some people are calling the airdrop of a lifetime, right? So people are calling it this because when you fork Ethereum, you essentially split the Ethereum network into two parts. And any coin that you had on the Ethereum network will be copied one-to-one over on the PulseChain network. Now, does that mean the dollar value is going to just be copied over automatically? No, that'd be too easy, right? It's not that simple. It's whatever the market decides the PulseChain version of those coins are worth. So there will be a frenzy, and it will be chaotic for a few weeks or months while price discovery happens for the PulseChain version of all your coins versus the ETH chain version of all your coins. And it's hard to imagine, but there literally will be a copy one for one. Some people are calling it EHEX and PHEX to help differentiate the HEX you have on Ethereum versus the HEX you have on Pulse. And the reason you might want to keep your HEX liquid is because in order to get Pulse tokens, so Pulse tokens will be the equivalent of ETH tokens, right, to pay for gas and whatnot, but on the PulseChain network. Every network has to have a base token in order for gas fees to be achieved. So there will be what's called a sacrifice phase when PulseChain launches, where you can sacrifice any Ethereum coin that you want. A lot of hexagons are going to be using PulseChain, which is why a lot of us are sacrificing HEX. And by sacrificing that HEX, it means you don't get it back, right? You send it to an address. It's gone forever. Don't worry about what happens to it. But in return, you will get a large 10,000 to 1 ratio of Pulse, right? So it's basically like it's how coins will be distributed to new people that want to get involved in PulseChain. Now, I like HEX. I also like PulseChain. I'm personally probably going to sacrifice some of my HEX for PulseChain, but I don't want to get rid of all my HEX. I love my HEX. It's paying me interest. I've got my whole ladder set up. So I want a little bit of both, right? So I'm going to sacrifice a portion of my HEX, right, to get some PulseChain on the new network because I think it's going to go up in price, but I'm also going to keep a lot of HEX staked. Go ahead, David.
So the HEX that's staked, you don't want to sacrifice that because you'd have to end the stake to sacrifice it, and you have a penalty. The staked HEX contracts you'll get those contracts over there. That's amazing, and that's something that's long time stakes. Well, the prices can work their way up during that. That's something you definitely want to stake. So when you say you're only going to sacrifice some of your HEX, how much? I mean, do you have liquid HEX and you're only going to sacrifice some of it and stake the rest? And why didn't you stake it already is my question.
Yeah, so as a percentage of my overall holdings, it just so happens that I don't have very much liquid. I wish I had more liquid like Michael over there, but a lot of mine's already staked.
That was my question. That was my question. Are you going to stake all of your liquid HEX, which is a small portion of your holdings?
I'm going to sacrifice all of my liquid
That's
HEX.
what I meant, sacrifice.
Yeah.
Don't listen to what I say. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's the thing that, go ahead.
Quick question, because I cannot answer this in my own head. So I understand the notion of sacrificing your coins. You're going to get an address. You're going to confirm that address 3 different places so that you don't get hosed by a scammer. That's number one. We want to be safe on this. When you know, and let's say Michael with his 200,000 HEX, that 220, that he wants to sacrifice it all, which I know he will. And he sends it all to this address. Okay. We're newbies. I don't know about signing a digital contract. How the hell do I get my PulseChain tokens or whatever the hell you call them?
It's a great question. And you literally do nothing. So there's work being done right now. I'm in a couple of chat rooms that are conversing about how the actual thing is going to work. We want to simplify the experience as much as possible. We want to make it easy for the newbies. They shouldn't have to sign any transactions. Richard Hart recently just announced that we're coming up with a method to not have to actually sign any transaction. So what I'm assuming will happen, and I'll be the first to update you via video if this is not true, but you will get credited these Pulse tokens directly to your account that you submitted, that you claimed was yours, right? Your Ethereum account. So when you switch networks, those Pulse tokens will just be in your wallet.
Okay,
now,
time out.
Yep.
Back the bus up just a sec. So when you say that you claimed your account and all of that, keep in mind we're newbies. Everybody here is newbies. Even though I am wearing a Bitcoin chain, which designates that I am a very big deal. I did have it turned backwards this morning, everyone. I'm sorry about that. That's why the market went down, but it is right side up again, so we're good. So let's say I have 10 Ether and 100,000 HEX right now, okay? And I want to sacrifice it all, okay? So this is just hypothetical, people. So I'm going to get an address for each of those coins, and I'm going to say I'm all in. I put the chips in the middle, the coins in the middle. Now you say you say I do nothing, but what does that mean?
When you send it, it comes with a digital ID. They know where to send those coins back to based on the address that it came from. Here's a stupid question.
Wait, wait, David, let him answer, please.
Good.
Well, no, it's exactly what David said. When you do a transaction, there's what's called a transaction hash on the Ethereum blockchain, which is a very unique identifier that you specifically, your address sent money to this address. And that's how we can verify,
Okay.
who's owed what. It's permanently imprinted on the blockchain forever.
All right.
Okay.
So two questions.
So
whatever wallet you have. So if I'm sending it from MetaMask or something like that, and it's sitting there, it's just going to show back up in MetaMask.
Most likely, yes. And this might change, right? Because we're still in the planning phases, but it will be as simple as possible. And there will be, step-by-step instructions on how to send it. The only complication would be that people might want to sacrifice tokens that aren't part of the Ethereum network. So if you want to sacrifice Bitcoin, well, how do I then relate that Bitcoin to my Ethereum address? Because those are two separate networks.
Mhm.
If you're sending Ethereum or any Ethereum-based token, chances are that'll be the most easy, simple, straightforward way to do it. That's what I really recommend. So if you do have any kind of Bitcoin or anything, just to make it easier for your own self, I would probably transfer it into some Ethereum-based token first and then sacrifice that Ethereum-based token.
Okay. Right. Sorry, David, I interrupted you.
Yeah, no problem. So if I sacrifice my Ethereum from my, my Exodus wallet on my computer, how are they going to send me Pulse back to my Exodus wallet that doesn't accept Pulse? That doesn't have a Pulse wallet?
Question.
And then I have a follow-up question to that. So the answer is we're waiting for further information on how that works.
Well, the answer is if you have a wallet, you really, really need to make sure that it's what's called a non-custodial wallet, which means you actually need to own your private keys.
Yeah. So Exodus is non-custodial.
Sure. So as long as you own your private keys, you will be able to generate that wallet on whatever front end software that you want to. So
okay. And then the other thing is, I know that like if you're sending Bitcoin, you have to send it to a Bitcoin address. If you're sending Ethereum, you have to send it to an Ethereum address, or Cardano to a Cardano address. There's going to be a universal address that we can sacrifice everything to. It'll accept all the different tokens.
So yeah, that's the moment of we're not so sure about that, but there's ideally will be one unique address, right, per person that will tie back to your Ethereum address. So you might have to enter your Ethereum address manually that you want to tie this, let's say your Bitcoin address to, and that might just be one extra step for the fact that you used Bitcoin to sacrifice instead of you used Ethereum or HEX to sacrifice. Okay. So there, we haven't seen it yet, but it's being built out right now.
Okay, so back to the Exodus wallet. I have some Ethereum. Well, okay, I'm going to take it a different way. I have a Trezor wallet that has ETH on it, and I'm going to be able to send it directly from my Trezor wallet to this address just by hooking it up to my. I can send it directly through the Trezor suite, I guess, right? So I don't have to do that through MetaMask or any of that craziness. Is that right?
I am not familiar with Trezor. There's a lot of questions that we're asking right now that are still in progress of being figured out. Right? Okay. So I don't think I can speak
no sweat
certain about a lot of this stuff.
No, 30,000.
We're very early, which is a good thing, right? You're early on PulseChain, so as long as you're learning about it now, I mean, you'll
listen. When you don't have the answer, that makes us feel smarter that we're asking not a stupid question.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's great that you guys are curious about it because I'm excited for it, and this could be, if you missed the boat on HEX, I mean, this could be.
Well, okay, that's exactly my next point. Is can you war game this out for me? So I have HEX like Pooch, but I do, and it's just sitting there liquid. And I haven't staked it, and I'm just ready for this, right? I'm not committed to my HEX. So I'm not a Hexican. I'm not loyal to it right now. And my question is, I'm a fan of becoming loyal to something. And I presume that when Pulse launches, that model is going to be ported over there, right? To where you're going to be able to stake your Pulse as well. So I might want to just kind of focus on that as my launch pad.
Well, to be honest, I am not so sure that Pulse will have staking. I mean, it is proof of stake, so I'm sure it will have some kind of staking. But to be honest, I am much more interested in HEX. So don't get me wrong, I am very interested in Pulse for the potential returns that I think it might be able to do. But what I see PulseChain as is really a platform to enable HEX to be what it was truly meant to be. So I see PulseChain as a launch pad for HEX that can launch it to all-time highs that we've never even dreamed were possible because the Ethereum gas fees were so damn high.
Right.
So PulseChain is a means to an end that also might just happen to be a way to make some more money along the way, maybe.
So when you say that PulseChain will be a vehicle for your HEX, are you talking about your PHEX or your EHEX?
Exactly. Great question. So like I mentioned earlier, there will be a copy of all the Ethereum, all the HEX you had on Ethereum, and there will now be a copy of all the HEX you had on PulseChain. Nobody knows what the prices of these things will be. Many people are speculating that the price of both EHEX and PHEX after the split will equate to somewhere above the price of the original HEX just before the split. So many people are thinking, well, hey, how can this really go wrong? As long as both of these have a price, it's probably going to be above a 1.0 ratio, maybe a 1.2x, 1.3x. What I really think in the long term, really in the long term, if I'm being totally honest, is that people are going to go where there's a better user experience. Right? People are going to go where there's cheaper, faster, almost instantaneous transactions. It should be, if we're trying to replace the traditional financial system, you shouldn't have to pay an arm and a leg and a kidney for a fucking transaction on the Ethereum blockchain. It's really offensive. So I think that over time, like for instance, when I onboard people in the future, I'll onboard them directly to HEX on Pulse because there's no, arm and a leg. There's no $100 transaction to get in. So I see Pulse HEX having a very, very bright future. And I see ETH HEX having a midterm bright future, but a long-term, who knows? Anything could happen in the long term, but I really think that the Pulse HEX will succeed.
So
hold on, Uncle. As Pulse HEX becomes more popular, it would make sense that EHEX would start to fade down. So right now you have some liquid HEX on the Ethereum chain. You have your staked HEX. All of that gets mirrored over, except you're going to sacrifice your liquid HEX first, so it doesn't get mirrored over, right? So after this happens, after the sacrifice phase and the network launches, now you come into some dry powder, and you want to buy some HEX. Would you ever buy HEX on the Ethereum network again, or would you only buy Pulse HEX?
Well, here's the thing, David, too. The reason that I don't want to bet the farm on Pulse HEX, well, I would love Pulse HEX to succeed and go astronomically high. I would also love ETH HEX to continue to succeed in parallel because one day ETH might actually figure their shit out. And I've got stakes from 1 year to 15 years down the line. So even if it takes Ethereum 2 more years, 3 more years to lower their fees, maybe they're never quite as low as Pulse, but it becomes usable again. I would love to have a whole nother stack.
It's just a whole
something with actual value. Yeah, I'd love to have some valuable ETH over there.
That answers the question. Thanks.
Right. So I don't think it's definitely set in stone, right? So I don't want to put all my eggs in either basket, but I am more bullish on Pulse short term. And then longer term, it's really a toss-up because I can't predict that far in the future.
David, I think you said something that confused me. I don't think you may have said it right. Just confirm this with me. You said that if you sacrifice your HEX, it's not going to be mirrored. I thought that everything's going to be mirrored on a date, but then you have a sacrifice period.
I don't think so. I think the sacrifice is coming before the snapshot, and so anything you sacrifice doesn't get mirrored.
That's right.
So if you sacrifice your 10 ETH, they're gone, and then the snapshot of the Ethereum network happens, and you don't have those 10. So anything that you're sacrificing, you're giving up that mirror.
So I'm just sacrificing it to get the Pulse chain. I'm going to be a believer. I'm going to be an evangelist of the Pulse.
It's like buying Ethereum on day one.
Okay.
Right?
Maybe.
Well, I mean, in theory, that's what it is. Yeah. We're not saying what it's going to do, but in comparison, that's what it is.
Yes.
Is it? I mean, that's what the question mark. Everything I say is a question mark at the end.
Is it a defined exchange amount, right? So if you sacrifice, do you know you're getting so much back?
You're getting 0, right? That's what you have to count on. You're getting a lot of 0.
You're getting a lot of Pulse. You will get a lot of Pulse token, but the value of that Pulse token could be whatever the market decides it's worth. So I can say that you will get a higher ratio for sacrificing earlier in the sacrifice phase rather than sacrificing later. So there will be what's called a bonding curve. So there will be essentially a tapering off. of you'll get better ratios on the early days for your US dollars value sacrifice than you will on day 30, which is why I personally would love to get in on day one. Day
well,
one,
and
two,
day
and
one
three.
is day 1, 2, and 3, I think, where it doesn't matter when you get in, as long as you get in that window, everybody, it's no front running is allowed. So everyone that
Right.
gets in the first 3 days or 5 days, whatever it is, I think it's 3, you get the same ratio. So you don't
That's
have
the
to be
thought
like
right now.
waiting and waiting and waiting until it's announced and then jump in. Right. And then they're also, tell me, what do you think about this? Do you think this is big enough to push the Ethereum gas fees up right at the start?
Well, I think it will be a very big hype event. I think gas fees are already astronomically high. I think, yeah, we might see higher than usual gas fees on that day because everyone might be rushing to get their foot in the door for the PulseChain launch. But in the longer term, I think it's actually going to take a lot of load off of Ethereum. So we might see Ethereum fees come down because now there's another ecosystem. And I know we're talking a lot about HEX, right? But one of the cool things is that every community that wants to, or any new project or new coin, can start building on top of Pulse with immediately lower fees and immediately lower instantaneous transactions. So it's a better environment for everybody. It's actually coin agnostic. Anybody can come over to PulseChain. We don't care. We just happen to like HEX a lot.
So super newbie question here. How do I know with my portfolio what would be mirrored? Is everything mirrored? Like is Bitcoin or it's
everything
just
that's an ERC20 token.
And how do I know if it's an ERC20 token? Like, is my XRP, is that one of those or no?
So an ERC20 token simply means a token that's built on top of Ethereum. What Ethereum is basically like I like to call it the digital gas. It's the fuel for cars to drive on top of it. And you can build on top of all these different networks. You know, there's the Bitcoin network, the Ethereum network, there's other networks like Cardano, but you have to differentiate whether or not your token is an actual network token or is it a token built on top of a network. Most tokens out there, like probably 99%, 95% of them are built on top of various networks. But tokens that actually are their own blockchain are, for example, Ethereum, Bitcoin, I think Polkadot, maybe BSC, you know, things that actually are their own ecosystem have their own base token.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Yep.
So is wrapped Bitcoin a Ethereum based token, an ERC20?
Yes, wrapped Bitcoin is an ERC20 because it's wrapped on Ethereum.
Right.
So strategically, what would you counsel people to prepare for this? Like if you have a portfolio of a lot of non, ERC20, just get out of them or
Well, this sounds like financial advice, which thank you for your disclaimer at the beginning.
Yeah, you're free. You're free. Any baggage.
I would love to get all my bags over to the Ethereum blockchain. And then because HEX is my favorite coin, I would love to convert them all into HEX, which would in turn increase the price of HEX because you're buying up the HEX price. And then I would actually want to sacrifice that HEX because it would, give me the most bang for my buck in terms of the pulse allocation. So I think HEX is the most pumpable coin on the market right now. And if I had a bunch of altcoins laying around, I would want to convert them all over to Ethereum. I'd want to bridge my Bitcoin onto the Ethereum network. You can do that with Ren BTC. It's Ren Bridge project. Just look it up. Let me get you the exact URL actually.
Okay. Can you just blew through what you would do like we know anything. Can you take that a little slower? So
yes, exactly.
Okay.
So let's say in the case you have BTC that you want to sacrifice, there are certain softwares out there that allow you to bridge your coins from one network to another. So let's say I have Bitcoin. I can go to bridge.runproject.io. I'll put that in the chat for your people there. And you can actually convert your Bitcoin into an Ethereum version of that Bitcoin. Right? Which is basically just wrapped on a different network. So that's how you port from network to network is with things like this. And Ren Project has a bunch of different bridges. I think if you have like some other altcoins, they'll bridge them too. Then from there, I would go to uniswap.exchange. So once you have everything
different than
on
uniswap.org?
No, it's the same. It'll take you to the same place. Okay. Yeah, app.uniswap.org. Uniswap. You can just Google Uniswap. Don't click on a fake link though. Just go to app.uniswap.org. Actually, that'd be better. Once you have all your coins on an Ethereum-based wallet like MetaMask or like one of the ones you guys mentioned, Exodus, possibly. I'm most familiar with MetaMask. I really recommend you get metamask.io, metamask.io. Download that either as an app or a browser extension, and that's your Ethereum wallet now. That's your wallet for any Ethereum-based coin.
Okay.
So
that can, for us newbies, that can simplify life, right? As long as you have MetaMask, you are gold. As long as there's a coin that will sit within MetaMask, that that's an Ethereum token.
MetaMask will only hold ERC20 tokens.
Okay.
Is that
I couldn't recommend MetaMask enough. It's what all the best documentation is on, all the best support out there.
Is my question
I'll
right?
be doing all my tutorials on MetaMask.
So the MetaMask will only hold ERC20 tokens? Question mark.
If you are connected to the Ethereum network.
Okay.
Sorry. If you're connected to the Ethereum network, then yes, it will hold. But the cool thing about MetaMask is that it can actually connect to other networks. And the reason that you want MetaMask is because with a couple clicks of a button, you'll be able to toggle over to the PulseChain network instead.
Right.
So I'm planning ahead here for you guys. Like
backing up just a little bit. So we're coming up to the snapshot date. Let's say you have a bunch of Bitcoin that you want to hold. You want to hold your Bitcoin. You don't want to sell them. You don't want to sacrifice them. Do you bridge them over, get wrap Bitcoin, which mirrors the price of Bitcoin pretty much, spend a little bit on gas to do that, wait for the snapshot, and then send them back? Is that an advisable thing to do?
Well, when you sacrifice them, you don't get them back.
No, so not sacrificing. Not sacrificing.
Snapshot them.
Yeah, the snapshot hasn't happened yet. I let's say I have 10 Bitcoin and I bridge them over. Cool. I get wrap Bitcoin. I let them sit there. I wait until it's mirrored, and then I send them back. Now I'm probably going to spend $1,000 in gas to do that. Okay, which is the reason this whole Pulse network is coming up. But is that something that sounds like could be a good idea? This is not financial advice.
Yeah, man, that's something I hadn't even thought of, and so that's something that's if you have a lot of Bitcoin and it makes sense for you to eat those gas fees on the way over, then hell yeah, get them onto wrapped Bitcoin, wait for the snapshot, put them back in a Bitcoin wallet, unwrap them, and then hey, after the snapshot, now you got all this wrapped Bitcoin on.
And wrapped Bitcoin and Bitcoin are within a few dollars of each other, right? There's no variation in the price.
Currently on the ETH network, yes, but that's not to say like they might have a much lower value on the Pulse network, right? Like we don't know
on the ETH network. I'm talking about on the ETH network. So if you send it's like, oh hey, I could do this for 250 in gas. I'm moving 10 Bitcoin over, and then I'm going to get 10 Bitcoin on the Pulse network, which could be worth nothing. Let's just start there, but it's going to be worth something.
But chances are it's not going to be zero. So
it's not going to be zero. It'll probably, the worst case scenario is it covers my gas. Okay. And I don't even, I think it's got to be better than that.
That's a good speculative play. I have nothing wrong with that.
Can you wrap any coin? So like XRP or Cardano or?
I don't think so.
I'm not an expert in all the different things you can wrap, but let's see. Let's see if Ren, I can probably look that up right now. If the Ren bridge.
Let's take a super newbie question, right? So let's say you have a Kraken account and you wired some money in. What's the most efficient way to convert that to HEX?
Great question.
Well, yeah. So like I said, you're going to want that metamask.io wallet. Get that. That's your own personal non-custodial wallet. Kraken doesn't own it. You own it. Yep. And then you withdraw from Kraken into MetaMask. You know the withdrawal process.
He has cash in Kraken. So what he's not sending the cash to MetaMask. Does he need to buy some Ethereum or whatever that he can get?
I would buy Ethereum, definitely Ethereum on Kraken, and then transfer that to your MetaMask because you're gonna need Ethereum to pay for gas fees anyway. So why not just transfer it into Ethereum?
Just transfer it all into Ethereum and then move it over to MetaMask.
Yeah, then all into MetaMask. Yeah.
Okay.
And can you tell us what the perfect timing is to buy Ethereum so the price is right for the sacrifice?
Yeah. Let me just call the exact bottom for you.
Thank you. Yes, we would like the exact bottom, please. 5 minutes early.
Yeah, no problem. I'll DM you. How about that?
Thanks.
Yeah. So Ether to MetaMask, and then within MetaMask you can swap your ETH token for HEX, or you can buy HEX.
You can if you want to, or you can sacrifice the Ethereum directly for Pulse. If Michael doesn't care about HEX at all, then hey, why not? Why even go through the trouble? You know, if you don't give a shit about HEX, just sacrifice your ETH.
Yeah, but there's no difference in sacrificing $1,000 worth of ETH or $1,000 worth of HEX. You get the exact same outcome.
Yeah,
It's
the reason
only
that
the
we
mirroring that makes a difference. If you don't sacrifice it, then the mirroring, you're going to mirror your ETH or mirror your HEX. But if you
right.
sacrifice 1,000 of any of the sacrificable coins, you get the exact same thing.
And so the game theory that us HEX people are doing, the play that we're making is we're saying, well, we want the HEX price to go up. And so when you buy something, the price goes up. So let's say we have a whole bag of Ethereum. Let's just buy up the HEX price. So the HEX price goes up and then sacrifice the HEX, because we're pretty damn sure that when we sacrifice the HEX, it's not going to get sold on the open market back down. So
Right.
we get to make our own bags go up and get some PulseChain in the process. So if you already have a bag of HEX and you want the price to go up, consider swapping into HEX, then sacrificing. If you don't care at all about HEX, if you could give less of a fuck, then just go whatever coin you have, just sacrifice.
So if Mike has 200,000 HEX now, and he has some cash for some ETH, effectively, he could just keep his 200,000 HEX where it is. Don't worry about a thing. That's going to be snapshot. And then, and then he's going to take his ETH and he's going to buy more HEX, and that's going to be dedicated to the sacrifice. So his bag that he continues to hold, that's going to be snapshot, that should, from a game theory standpoint, go up in price because he is buying HEX to sacrifice it, and that HEX will never be sold, allegedly. And so that is the best way to do this in your mind.
Yeah, if HEX is your favorite coin and you want it to go up a lot. Yeah.
So,
but I think there's a whole lot of people who think HEX is their favorite coin who are going to be doing this, right? So it seems to me like it'd almost be stupid to say, no, XRP is my favorite coin. You know?
Yeah.
There's no.
Well, that would always be stupid.
Here's another question.
No
If people buy HEX over on the Pulse network, it's going to be like buying it here, and they're going to want to stake it. It's a staking coin over on the Pulse network. Is that true? Or is it not?
The Pulse token itself?
The Pulse token. Not Pulse, HEX. If I buy HEX, PHEX, you want to stake it over there and create a contract, right?
I would.
Okay, so here's my question. If you have so Mike's got 200,000 HEX, and he's going to sacrifice some Ethereum and let the HEX get mirrored over there. So now he has unstaked HEX over here and unstaked HEX over there. So now he has to buy two contracts. One of them will be free. The other, I'm just thinking, does it make sense if he's gonna not burn it and he's gonna just stake it now, stake it before the snapshot? That way your stake gets brought over and you don't have to do it twice.
Yeah, it's always beneficial to stake earlier rather than later. And that's due to a different mechanism in the contract, which is complicated, but it basically mimics compound interest. You'll always get a better deal staking today than you will tomorrow. It's going to be a very, very small better deal, but every day the share price goes up. So you basically, it's always beneficial to stake earlier.
So how do we go about staking? Because I think Mike and I were fairly similar with our bags.
So again, go.hex.com. You have to have that MetaMask, like I talked about. You have to have that on your browser, and you have to connect it. There will be a message right when you get there saying connect MetaMask now. Just click click connect, and that allows your MetaMask wallet to interact with the website. And from there, you just go to the stake tab. The only tab you need to worry about is the stake tab. Ignore all the other tabs. Like the home page and the stake tab is really all that's still relevant. And you can see a lot of cool statistics on the homepage, and you can see a lot of other cool statistics on the stake tab. And that's where you kind of manage all of your stakes. And really, I would recommend just hovering over all of the different informational icons, just reading everything you can on that page. Because reading that page is like taking a week-long class in HEX. It really is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you stake it. You say you have a specific strategy that you teach on how to stake it. Can you give any insight into what
Oh yeah, it's not really a secret strategy. It's called the staking ladder. It's really the crux of the HEX passive income system. Most of my course is spent on security setup, how not to get scammed, and all that.
Got it.
The staking ladder that David's doing is what I teach in the final module, which is basically just pick a time frame that works for your lifestyle. Pick some kind of periodic interval where you want to say, let's set up 30 stakes, one every 6 months from now till 15 years. Why do I say 15 years? Because that's the maximum length of time you could stake. It happens to be 5,555 days. It's just that way because that's as much as the code could handle, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's a pretty long time, right? You might not even want to stake for that long. If 10 years is your max, maybe you can go for 10. That's whatever works for you. But you always want to make sure you have something coming out so that you can scrape off the interest and restake the principal down the line.
So if I stake something and then for 100 days, let's just say 100 days, and then on day 130, I go back and check it out, what happens? From what I read before, I lose my stakeage.
Yeah, that's a great question. So first of all, let's talk about the early end stake penalties. David, you're on mute, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
Let's talk about the early on stake penalties. If you take it out early, you're going to get penalized way heavier than if you take it out late. So when you make a stake, you're making a contract with yourself. You're taking all the action. You have all the responsibility. If you don't do what you said you were going to do, if you don't put your money where your mouth is, you will get pretty heavily penalized, just like the real world. You try to pull out of your 401k early, get penalized. Pull out of a CD early, you're going to get penalized. So don't do it. I would never recommend it. Always follow through on your term. You shouldn't be investing money that you need to put food on the table. So if you're out there listening, this is investing means it's money that you don't need, right? But like Michael was saying, if you do wait too long to unstake it, first off, there's a 14-day grace period. So if you do nothing for 14 days, you forget about it, you got 14 days of no penalties. And after that, you bleed out at a rate of 1% per week over the next 100 weeks. So basically, if you
shit, so this isn't a set it and forget it. You have to literally.
It kind of is, but I have alarms. I have all sorts of stuff going off to tell me your stake is up, and then it reminds me I have to clear it. So and then I did it on Christmas and my birthday. So I forget every Christmas and birthday. I'll be like, wait a minute, I better check my my HEX stake.
Sure. But there's a better way to do it too. If you get the staker.app, it's a mobile app on your phone. It'll automatically, you just type in your address on there. It'll read your address and it'll alert you every time your stakes come due. So you never have to worry about it.
There is an alert on that?
Yeah, there's notifications on there. So, make sure your notifications are on.
The staker app.
Staker app. Yeah. Let me put here's my referral link. It's free. Okay. It's a free app. It's gostaker.com. GOSTAKER.com. Go there. It's on iOS, Android. That'll alert you when your stakes are due. But hey, worst case scenario, let's say you're 1 or 2 or 3 weeks late. You're only going to lose 1 or 2%. So the late end stake penalties are not as bad as the early end stake penalties.
How about this? Don't forget it when your stake is due.
Just don't forget.
Yeah, just don't forget. I mean, listen, if you can't go and check your within that 2-week window, you shouldn't be in crypto. I mean,
yeah, you got 2 weeks, and then you could set, Google Calendar. There's a million ways you could do it.
Yeah. I mean, just alarm the crap out of your life. And if that doesn't work, you shouldn't be here.
I tend to think when you have like, a couple $1,000s on the line, you'll remind yourself, you'll worry about it.
All right. I'm trying to get this ported over into the chat.
Yeah. So I know I'm naming a couple of different apps at you guys, but MetaMask is for actually buying HEX and staking HEX and all that. GoStaker.com right now. It will be for buying and selling HEX in the future and staking HEX. But for now, it's really the best for alerting yourself on when your stakes are due. And it's a great visualization tool to see how much money you're making, how much money you will make, what your projected interest is and everything. It's an awesome app. I would just get that because one day it will be the primary HEX app. Very soon.
And that's right. And as I was saying earlier, when you look at all your stakes, it's showing you if they matured today, what they'd be worth. And it's based on today's HEX price. But if HEX keeps going up, all of those numbers go up drastically. Tell me I'm right or wrong.
So I mean, cryptocurrencies are the fastest appreciating asset class in the history of mankind. If you bought Bitcoin at 1 penny, if you bought $1 Bitcoin at a penny, you'd have $5 million today over that. Or maybe under that because it's 4. Never mind. It went up 5 million X in 11 years. These kinds of gains are only seen in crypto. Typically, if you think the demand in the future will be constant or higher in the future for HEX, then it tends to be a good investment in my eyes.
I tell people that are freaking out like during this collapse that have taken money out of their, other traditional investments. I'm like, if your IRA went up by 40% one year, would you be thrilled? And like, hell yeah. Well, 40% in crypto is like a losing day.
Yeah. We
Right?
talk about X's in crypto. We talk about multiples on your money.
Yeah.
40% is like not that cool.
40% is not that cool, and it's unheard of
Yeah.
in traditional investments. It's not unheard of, but
Yeah.
I think Madoff was offering 40%.
Well, that's not the best comparison, but yeah, HEX is also offering 40%. No relation.
Yeah, no relation. Don't that was a bad analogy.
Here's the thing, though. The price you pay for the potential for huge mad gains, the giant outsized returns, is extreme volatility. So I'll say that again. The price you pay for outsized potential returns is massive, just balls in your stomach volatility. Like it's
today.
Real, like today. And here's a perfect example. But what do the real winners do? They buy the dip and they dollar cost average, right? So when there's blood in the streets, you should be getting greedy. It's hard. It took me years to learn that when you have to flip your brain around and you have to do what everyone's not doing.
Yeah, but you know where that, as a newbie, I can tell you that it really, really, I would strategically do things way differently if I could. But everybody talks about doing what you just said. You have to buy the dip. And I'm like, fuck you all with buying the dip. I'm already fully deployed. Where do you think I'm going to come up with all the dry powder? And that's the frustration, is all of my, I went in and you get all excited. You see these initial gains. So every time, somebody gives another coin reference, you go to, you freaking put it on your credit card, for crying out loud, because, so then when it goes down, it's like there's no sideline cash. Whereas if I were doing it now, or if I were consulting somebody, I would say, you need to go all in on a portfolio, but only after you set 20% of that initial nut to the side. And that's going to be your discipline bag. And that discipline bag, you're not going to touch it until there's like an event that makes everyone want to jump off a building. And that's when you swoop in.
Yeah. And I do wish I could, take my own advice and buy this dip, but yeah, I'm pretty fully invested too. But that's why we say dollar cost average and buy the dip, right? Like, again, what you did, Uncle Vigilante, is probably would have ended up better, but it's not the responsible financial advice to say ape in at the beginning and just hold forever. Yeah. But that's what you would have been best.
Yeah.
That's great. I love that. And you're obviously cut out for crypto. A lot of people probably aren't. And we've seen that today.
And I mentioned this on the other show with you, Uncle V, that I've been watching, I've been following people like Jeff Berwick and stuff for 10 years. I've been following him, but I haven't been listening I haven't been taking his advice. Right. And every time I look, I'm like, oh man, it's too late. All right, man, it's too late. Oh man, Bitcoin's $3,000. It's too late. Too late. And then I realized there's new too lates every single day.
Yeah.
Right. Every single day. And then I was like, this is a huge one. Now, again, we don't know what's going to happen with this, but to me, I think this is the biggest opportunity I've seen yet. My opinion.
Pulse. Yeah. So, Hey, Matt, one thing, now I'm 56, so I think a little differently than you young fellas, but I think about in terms of what if I get hit by a bus, right? And one thing that I think is a real Achilles heel of crypto is, because you are your own bank and you have to be so secure and you have to protect yourself and everything. I can tell you, not a member of my family is going to know how to unpack all my buried treasure, no matter how good my notes are. So there's a business model there for somebody to figure out how to create some kind of like almost a Brinks type security system, to where you could almost have the trust in this third party with all of your shit. So
You're thinking of a bank. You're thinking of a bank.
Thinking of a bank, kind of like a crypto bank, but not really. And that's not what I'm getting at. No, what keeps me up at night is with all of this stakeage. And when I know it burns off at 1% a day, if you miss it or whatever, what if I get hit by a bus? How's my wife going to be able to get all of that, which is intended for our retirement?
I'd say write a very detailed will. And that part of the crypto game is basically taking personal responsibility and self-sovereignty. I think as a society, we've been mollycoddled and babied into thinking that we need somebody else to take control of our
Right.
finances. And part of the allure of crypto for me was the financial freedom, self-sovereignty aspect of it. So what crypto is supposed to be is not your keys, not your coins. You're not handing your power away to anybody else.
Right.
To me, it's very empowering. To other people that maybe want their hand held, I would try to nudge them in the direction that I think. And not to say that, everybody should be responsible for their own stuff. Somebody, a lot of people right now aren't equipped to handle their own money, but with the right education and the right knowledge literally is
okay.
power.
But again, I'm speaking in the terms of, I'm into crypto. This is my thing since the beginning of the year. My wife isn't, my daughters aren't, they're doing their own thing. And so there's going to be that point in time that if and Puccinelli, I mean, I know you had heart surgery yesterday, for crying out loud. So I imagine it crossed your mind at some point of what ifs. I mean, it's just natural. So it's not about everybody should take their, personal sovereignty seriously or whatever. It would be like me it'd be like me being selfish and saying, no, I'm into crypto, honey. Screw that. I liquidated all our 401ks and our IRAs, which I did. And now it's all in crypto, which you don't have a clue about. So I'm just saying that we do, or the people who's watching my channel, are newbies like me. So you just got to be super, super anal. Two things I'd say. You have to be super anal with your notes, taking your notes and detailing every damn thing, go overboard on it, making sure that that's safe and secure. That notepad is in a fireproof bag somewhere and you have duplicates of it. A, and B, you should absolutely write in the front of that book, you got to have a friend who's a crypto buddy. Like I know, Dave, that if I ever got hit by a bus in there, I could say, just don't send it.
I'd be right over there to take her seed words, and I'd take care of everything. Just give me the seed words. I got it all covered. So here's a simple idea. Just get like a good quality, like bound notebook, blank pages, and on each page, hey, staked hex is coming up on this date. Here's all the information. If here's what website to go to. Here's how, just put all the information on each page, and then have it all in order.
Yep,
right?
That's the thinking that I'm looking for.
I mean,
or I should say that's how I want to help people who are thinking like we're doing, which I think we're all wargaming this on how to do it. I just want to plant the seed that needs to be part of the consideration, that to do what you say, David. That's just a clear strategy, and I think that's excellent, and I'll do that.
Yeah, it's and again, it's not that hard, but in today's fast-paced society, who's got time to do that? Well, you have time to do that. And as Crypto Coffee said, we've been trained to have everyone else do everything for us.
Or Matt, I don't know who developed the app, the Staker app. Is that the one?
Yeah.
So that was a couple of great developers on the HEX community.
So maybe you suggest to them that there could almost be like a beneficiary service as part of their app to where.
Hey, it's funny you say that because they have actually thought about this, and this
awesome.
is a really important thing. They're using what's called a Gnosis Safe, which has some certain social recovery features, meaning you could essentially have it recovered by maybe 2 out of 3 members of a family coming together and agreeing that, like, this person, has an issue where we need to recover their wallet. So there are
that's cool.
There's solutions like being worked on right now. And what I would recommend is, obviously, like you said, just as clear as possible instructions to leave to whoever you can. Have a crypto buddy that would be happy to take all your money after you die, and have and then have maybe even video instructions like, hey, click here, click there.
That's a great idea too.
Literally just make a file on a flash drive and click here, click there, but make sure everything's locked up and super secure.
Yeah.
I don't even trust safe deposit boxes. I mean, I would maybe time capsule, bury it. I'm kind of weird.
Yeah.
Everyone's different.
No, I was thinking about that as holdings grow and they get to the point where, like, oh my God, now this is important to do. I was thinking, your keywords, your seed words are the key to everything. And I was thinking, like, engrave them in metal, which I've already done, but I have that in my safe, right? So that could be stolen. Like pour it into concrete, like pour some concrete steps and put it in there. And that way, if your house burns down, if there's an earthquake, you know, if your house is up, no one's going to think to get a pickaxe and break up your steps, you know, to find the keywords. I mean, that's like the ultimate disaster. A flood, nothing is going to get rid of that.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it sounds crazy, but I'm crazy.
No, you're crazy. I love it. You're the good. Yeah. You're the good crazy. No, that's awesome.
The Staker app is going to be good though. The Staker app will have social recovery features, I believe, and it's going to improve itself a lot when PulseChain comes out.
That's great. So that was developed by a couple Hexicans.
Yeah, a couple of guys, Steph and Firebun, really great guys. I've met them personally, and they're awesome.
Hey, I have a question. This is just a real newbie question on leverage trading. So I know when I see these YouTubers that always get really close, you know, with their with their thumbnails, you know, looking in and with goofy faces and all that shit to try to, yeah, exactly. Although I do too, all of those guys. So when they do long and they do like leverage 10x, let's say, if they win, they get 10x, right? And so somebody is paying for that 10x. Is it just that there is a battle between an equal battle between people betting on a long and people betting on a short, and that's where the money exchanges hands between those betting that it'll go up or down?
Yeah, essentially there's a giant pool of open longs and open shorts, and people that actually do market orders are the ones matching the orders in between. So you've always got an order book stacked, you know, with a bunch of sell orders, a bunch of buy orders, but to cross that bridge, that what's called the, God, I can't blank on the name, the spread, right? To actually make the price go up or down, somebody needs to do a market order. So they have to be thinking, all right, whatever that lowest guy has his sell price at, I'm going to eat into that. I'm going to buy it. And then it goes up. Now, when he buys, he becomes a holder. Now, chances are he's going to become a new seller, right? So he wants to sell to somebody else. And whether that guy sells at a loss or a gain is really up to him and chance and market conditions. But the majority of the people actually lose money, and the money is taken by the very small percentage of successful traders that have routines. And, you know, they're mostly institutions that have a lot more money than you do. A lot more years of strategic thinking and you know, bookkeeping about how to do it the right way.
Yeah.
So what trading is a vicious cycle where new people come in, they get eaten alive, and then they get chewed up and spit out. And it's always taking in new people. The casino is always accepting new people, but the house always wins because the house always takes transaction fees. And the very small percentage of big fish, mostly institutional and professional fish, are the ones taking all the small guys' money.
And I think those are the same guys that probably control the media and control the world. And so they can have a organized narrative like they've had this week. I mean, I'm one of those guys that actually thinks that there's a group of Druid Babylonian bastards out there that have a lot more power over it than, and officials are selected, not elected, and they're just pawns. I think Elon Musk is a pawn. And, you know, they're puppet masters. And I think it's all orchestrated to be able to say, you know what, everybody's going to be liquidated if we can just get it to $29,900, that Bitcoin price in one day. We'll liquidate everybody, and then we'll swoop in and we'll buy it that deep discount, and then we'll let it go to 85,000.
It does seem like a very predictable narrative, right? Like it seems like a very easy to believe narrative. I do think that when you get that high up in the food chain, there's probably a couple of hundred guys that end up calling the shots for the entire world. Yeah. But I think when you get up to that level, it's not necessarily as organized and orchestrated as people might think. The world's a lot more chaotic than a lot of people realize. So, you know, just everything with world events like we've seen this year, I think a lot of it is just due to poor handling of situations, you know, panic, hysteria, emotional reactions, and then there's people crypto. And then there's people that want to gain from the situation too. But you've got all these different various parties all trying to get a piece of theirs. And so I think to write things off as they're orchestrating it, it's like, okay, well, who's they, right? Because they could be a lot more people than we realize, but just people with more power than you or I.
Yeah, we're very powerless here in the Uncle Odd household. So, but I know a guy who knows Dave Weiss, and if he ever dies, we know that we need to get our little chisels and go just destroy his cement.
Yeah. And maybe one day us Hexicans will be the ones writing the narratives and
there you go,
controlling the powers that be. We might live long enough to see ourselves become that villain.
So again, not investment advice, but just fantasize with me a little bit. So the pulse, that becomes a thing, right? And it automatically on day one becomes a token that is bought and sold somewhere for price discovery. Where is it going to be bought and sold?
So Uniswap, good question. Uniswap will be also every smart contract on Ethereum is copied over to PulseChain, which means Uniswap comes along with it. So you can have trading via various pairs and various coins on the Uniswap pair from day one. Now, what are their US dollar values going to be? Well, we might need to convert that through multiple coins, but I think even on day one, there might be tokens like DAI that might have some peg to the dollar, or bridged US dollar coin, meaning you could maybe bridge USDC over from ETH to Pulse and trade that way. But yeah, it will be a very chaotic couple of weeks. I imagine that we're not going to have real price discovery for a few weeks until things stabilize.
But then at some point in time, you envision that we're going to be able to look at some kind of app and be able to say that Pulse is now trading at 0.0001 cent or.
Oh yeah. And I think that GhostAcre.com will be able to accommodate that very, very soon after the Pulse chain is released. If not immediately when it is released, very, very shortly after, because they're working very closely with the Pulse chain guys to make sure that they know when they need to, I'm imagining some kind of toggle on the Staker app, right? GhostAcre.com, where you can just flip back and forth between the ETH network and the Pulse network. So that's what I'm envisioning.
Okay, newbie question here, but probably the most important one I'm going to ask tonight. So if I'm smart, maybe it's better than I'm not. But if I'm thinking that, like, let's say it's last week, or better yet, let me say Weiss Ratings, not David Weiss, but I'm part of Weiss Ratings. And last week, Friday, they literally put out a call to the subscribers that said, sell ETH, sell all of your Cardano, they just nailed it. They freaking nailed it as far as put it into cash and then just wait for further instructions. Well, we got further instructions today to go buy it. So my question is, where do you efficiently say, oh, okay, let me just get out all my Cardano? What's the best place to do that, to sell? And what do you sell it into? I presume a stable coin or something, but help me with that.
Well, I think stable coins are great to exit into in crypto. I'm not a good enough trader to be able to give advice about that, but I would say when you are feeling euphoric and the market seems frothy, that might be a good top signal to yourself to get out. Setting targets is usually what works, and then just selling at that target, actually following the rules you set for yourself.
Oh, I see.
And then don't look back. And then if Ethereum goes up to 5K and you sold at 4K, be happy with what you got. That's something I've learned. Like, you can spend all day long beating yourself up about how you didn't buy Bitcoin at 3,000 and you didn't sell it the exact top, but hardly anybody ever does, right? So setting these targets for yourself where you'll be happy and you can take profit.
That's a great point, because I've never thought about that. I've just been a buy and hold, and so I think that's smart. Is like, would you be happy? Like when I got in on XRP at 22 cents, and it's now, it's been up to 2. I think today it's gotten hammered like everything, but I think it'll level out like around $1.50. I should probably look at that and say, you know what, you did pretty well, Uncle V. And just, but then I keep hearing all of these people that are dedicated to XRP saying it's going to be the world currency, and it's going to go to
a hard time believing that, because the company XRP themselves routinely dump on your head every month.
I know.
Pay for their own bills. It's not, the coin itself doesn't even do anything. The service that they're selling has no relation to the coin. The coin is just a mechanism that the company created to fund their centralized company to pay for all their employees and their giant headquarters and everything. So I I don't want to hate on XRP too much, but I don't think it will be the future of cryptocurrency.
Okay, so you don't think it's going to be $12, $100, $1,000?
They've been saying that for years.
I know.
I would say if you're holding XRP, you're lucky that it's as high as it is right now.
Okay.
And to get out at all costs. But
so maybe that's what I sacrifice.
Hey, there you go.
Right?
There you
Just
go.
sacrifice shit pot of, and then with that, are they basically valuing your sacrifice tied to the dollar? I mean,
yeah, that's another area of uncertainty for me, but I believe, yes, it will be, a dollar amount. It'll be a time weighted average price of about a 30-minute time weighted average price of whatever dollar amount you sacrificed at that time will be the base US dollar amount that they'll use to calculate.
okay.
So if you sacrifice XRP at $1 and then it dips to 80 cents, they'll still use that dollar value that you sacrificed at that time to calculate it.
Right.
They're not going to, just because it dipped later and you had no control over that, they're not going to fault you for that.
So you're going to have kind of a burial ceremony on your Blockfolio app, because it's going to go down until the pulse starts getting some traction and goes up. But then that pulse on the other side should just destroy whatever you sacrifice. That's kind of the idea, right?
That's what we all want. Yes.
Yeah.
Coffee, I know that you have to go. I just want to back up to a question about staked HEX over, I have staked HEX here. When the snapshot comes, my staked HEX contracts will be staked over on the Pulse network. So I'll have the same contract. So let's say I have some unstaked HEX and that gets snapshotted over. Yep. They didn't sacrifice it. Can I then stake that over there? Can I then? I can then stake it over there. So just like here, same thing. So
HEX, you'll be able to use go.hex.com the same way on the ETH chain that you will on the Pulse chain. What I'm imagining is some kind of like flip or switch that you flip to toggle back and forth between networks. I don't know what it'll look like, but there will need to be some UI front end changes that are small, but able to actually switch you between networks and say, okay, you're on Pulse now. You want to stake the Pulse version or the ETH version?
Right. And then staking the Pulse over there is going to be close to free versus staking over here, which is going to cost you $250 or whatever it is.
Oh yeah. Borderline free. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be so great.
So the moral of this show is, Pooch, you and we need to figure out how to stake our current HEX and perhaps even get more, but then we want to sacrifice, we want to use our ETH to buy more HEX to sacrifice, but we have to sacrifice that before the snapshot. Is that right, Matt?
Yeah. If you want the price of HEX to go up, it would probably be wise, as long as you have a higher enough dollar amount that the gas doesn't kill you. Then, if you love HEX and you want the price to go up, that I would convert into HEX before sacrificing and then sacrifice.
So what would be a dollar amount that would, I just don't have any context because I've just been a hodler, but for gas, like what would you need to consider from a dollar standpoint value to be able to make it worth it, do you think?
Good question. I think transfers are outrageous right now on Ethereum, and typically a trade is anywhere from $100 to $300, and a transfer is anywhere. It's ridiculous. It's offensive. And then a transfer is anywhere from 20 to maybe $50. So if you want to do a transfer and a trade, you're looking at, let's call it an average of $250 maybe in order to do your whole thing. Make sure you're investing more than that, because if not, it's, and it sucks because I feel so bad for all the little guys that, don't have that, but that's the problem that PulseChain is trying to fix, right? On the PulseChain, we won't have those problems, but I would say make sure you can at least survive the gas fees of about $200, $250.
Is it going to cost that much to sacrifice if you have 1 or 100 ETH that you want to sacrifice?
Well, that's just a transfer, so that'll be a lot less. So to transfer 1 ETH versus 100 ETH will be the same amount. It doesn't, that's what I'm saying, scale based on the amount you transfer.
So that could be $20. So if you have, let's say your whole holdings are 0.2 ETH, whatever. You're just this little guy. You got a little bit of ETH. You know what? This little ETH would have to go up so high for this to make a difference. I want to sacrifice it and go long. Sacrificing is going to cost you maybe $20, and that's it. You're done. It's over there. You have nothing else to do. No gas fees, and you're over there where there is no gas fees. It's the free energy highway. Yeah. So the answer to that is, if you have a little bit of something that you want to sacrifice, you can do it, even if it's couple $100 or whatever, send it over and then let it ride.
Yeah.
Matt, where can this go wrong?
If you send it to the wrong address, you might lose all your money. If you lose your private keys, you could lose all your money. Don't ever store your private keys online. Don't ever talk about them with anybody. Anybody claiming to be me online, you guys are probably all going to be targeted now. Like, people impersonate me every single day.
Yep.
The crypto is the wild, wild west. It's disgusting, but there's scammers everywhere. So don't talk to people that message you first. Never give your private keys away. Uncle V,
Anybody,
you know that.
for any reason.
I've communicated with myself in my own chat. It's so funny. Looks like me and everything.
Crazy, right? I mean, it's weird. Yeah, a lot of lookalikes out there. So don't be a smooth brain. Just be smart. Just try not to get wrecked, and I think you'll be okay.
Yeah,
So-
I got a text message today said that somebody is the unknown IP address is trying to access my with my Coinbase account. If this wasn't you, please click here. Okay. There's so many people that would click that. There's no way I wasn't even going to test it, because if you're ever concerned,
I did.
Never click the link.
I clicked it and they asked for my seed words and I gave it to them. And sure enough, I saw my coins were still there.
Yeah.
Just kidding, everyone.
They're just taking them for safekeeping. They'll keep them safe for you.
Yeah. So Matt, I always, and you don't have to answer this, but can you share just kind of geographically where you live?
Chicago.
Or you where? Chicago
Chicago guy.
Awesome. Excellent.
You
Excellent.
guys?
I live in Tampa, Florida.
Nice.
I will soon live in Tampa, Florida. I live in Connecticut, but I got to
Sweet.
get out of here. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm in Virginia.
Nice. Bunch of East Coast guys. Sweet.
Yeah. I went to
I
University.
used to be in Connecticut, but I left Connecticut.
Good for you. You're halfway to where I want to be.
Isn't Connecticut just like a highway between like?
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Matt, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. And maybe we can after everything happens, maybe we can get back together again and have a little. You got to come up with a new name. I mean, if you're Hexicans, what are we going to be for Pulsians? Just doesn't have the same ring to it.
I've heard some weird ones. I've heard pulsers, pulsifiers. Nothing I've liked. Nothing. Pulsies. No. That's not
Oh, you're such a pulsy. No, it just doesn't have a great ring.
doesn't roll off the tongue.
Yeah. So again, if you would just share with everyone, if somebody wants to get a 101 from you, you have a consultant where you'll get on with them one-on-one, or is it access to a course?
No, it's just access to a course, hexpassiveincome.com. It's a one and done fee, $100 right now. It's half off. And I'll teach you all about how to get into Hex, how to build your own staking ladder. And I will be adding videos about how to handle the upcoming Pulse launch. It's just a little early right now. So this is like, you're getting some.
When do you think it's going to be? It's not anything that we have to or should I say from a council standpoint, when do you think that we should have our collective shit together?
Now,
well, I think the PulseChain sacrifice phase could be any day now. And I think that the actual launch date is anywhere from 2 to 4 months away.
The launch date. So the sacrifice date is going to be any day now?
I'd say 1 to 3 weeks, and the actual Pulse launch would be 2 to 4 months. That's my best estimate.
And the 2 to 4 months, is that when they're going to take the snapshot?
That's when, that the actual fork happens.
So we'll sacrifice first and have time to get whether it's our Hex staking or whatever in order before the snapshot so that it's mirrored.
Probably, or you could just do it all at once. I mean, you could just allocate but yeah, you'll have some time to get your shit together before that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Pooch, fellow newbie, you have any questions?
No, this was very interesting. It's still confusing. It's a lot to take in. You guys make it sound so easy.
Confused about this is simple.
Yeah, no, it's drinking from a fire hose. I get it.
Hey, listen, the first earlier this week, Todd set me up with a gentleman, and we kind of walked me through everything.
Jaron.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know if you wanted me to mention it, but anyway, so Jaron, and at the end of that 2-hour session, I had to pay. I had heart surgery the next day, but I had to pace around for like an hour saying, "What did I just do?"
Is that why you had heart surgery?
Yes.
Because after that, you needed heart surgery. Jaron, I know he gives a lot of information, but that's a new one.
It was a lot. And then my poor heart couldn't take it. But yeah, no, it was a pain in the butt just to get the Kraken account funded, right? You know, like that just wasn't easy. And then to get into Kraken Pro, which is what I wanted, that took a while.
But once you're in, then it all becomes easy. Once you've onboarded your money, then you can just do what you need to do.
Well, but I still have money stuck in Trade Ogre. It keeps failing, and this Trade Ogre thing is frustrating.
Well, talk about that because Dave's a Trade Ogre stud.
Just to be fair, Crypto Coffee, you need to go. You look very anxious, and you.
Okay, yeah.
That's just my face, sir. No, I'm just kidding.
He sent a message like, I'm concerned about your time, so that's all. Feel free to stay, but we're going to continue to talk for a few minutes.
Any three of you, I mean, Dave, Uncle V, you're probably fine. Mike, if you want to message me, DM me any questions at all, I'm happy to help. And yeah, that's it.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Talking to you guys.
Well, this has been fantastic. Thank you, Matt, and I hope you'll come back.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
All right. Cheers.
Thanks. See ya.
Peace out.
Bye.
And I had to leave to go take some medicine and walk. You're supposed to walk every so often so you didn't get clots. So that was where I kind of blacked out on you guys and reappeared inside. Yeah, so Trade Ogre is frustrating. I have tried to get, my XRP out of there, Todd? Yeah. I failed 12 times now.
Well, that's, I mean, one of the reasons it fails is they send it out in batches. And if one person screws up with an address, the whole batch fails. So I had a few fails trying to get some pirate chain out of there, but I tried it a whole bunch of times. You know, it doesn't cost you anything. Just do it, see if it fails. Do it a couple times. If it doesn't, you can send them a message and see what they say. But
have you reached out to Twitter, the customer service?
Yeah.
You know, I have no online.
I know, but dude, this is your money is on an exchange that could be shut down tomorrow. So
I gotta get it off.
Suck up
the ogre has my money, man.
Just put.
I did get the pirate chain out, but now he's got my Ripple.
I know, but make a Twitter account, Mike Ogre, whatever. Just get a pseudo account so that you can engage in customer service with that guy because he's pretty good. He's pretty quick, but you can hold on to not having any social media out there and keep your money on Trade Ogre and have it lost. But I just think you're kind of, choose your battle.
Yeah, I got a session with Jaron tomorrow, so I'm gonna see if he can straighten me out.
Another heart. You're gonna back to
God.
surgery.
now they're gonna crack the chest.
I got another surgery scheduled coming up. So
on what day? Father's Day.
That was a mistake, and they called and said, "Oh no, it's supposed to be July 20th, not June 20th," which didn't make any sense anyway. But yeah.
Okay, well that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right. Are we good?
I think we're good, guys. This was good. Thank you, everyone in the chat. Sorry that we haven't been paying attention to you, but that's just kind of how we roll. I would rather focus on our guest because we get so many good golden nuggets from them. But thank you, Dave. You're a legend as always. Pooch, love you.
It's always hard to keep track of. We have our conversation here, and then there's a conversation in the chat. And the area in between is called the ether band.
Oh,
good one.
Okay. I'll have to do. Can I download that music from ether band?
Yeah, they're actually a good group.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go have some dinner.
All right.
Hey, cheers.
And anyone listening that likes to hear, I'm doing a live show 11 p.m. tonight on a radio show. I think they're in South Africa or somewhere, but the link is on the Facebook page, theflatearthpodcast.com, on my Twitter, the FE podcast. Go there. They're going to be taking calls, I think. So we always love, good, healthy calls and questions.
Awesome. Enjoy. That's a late night.
Yeah, that's night at 11.
All right. Okay, buddy.
11 Eastern. All right, everybody.
11 ETA.
Take care.
All right. Cheers.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.